Have you ever been super pumped to tour a treatment room only to find it was either ran by someone shady, way overpriced, or like me, not zoned for your services? Keep watching. I'm going to go through step by step on how to find and get the best deal on a treatment room for your solo practice. Welcome to The Rebel Show, the podcast for estheticians who want to grow their business, master social media, and perfect their waxing technique. I'm Bree Mesquit, esthetician, business coach, and founder of Rebel Wax and First to Market Wax Pads. I built a 6-figure clientele, a 7-figure brand, and have trained over 15,000 waxers through my in-person and online courses. Are you struggling to book clients or market yourself? You're in the right place. Each week, I bring real business strategies, waxing education, and no BS advice to help you grow. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I'm Bree Mesquit, and today I'm going to be talking all about renting a treatment room. First, I'm going to start with one of my horror stories that I personally experienced, and now you guys can learn from my mistakes. So, after my first treatment room rental, which was in the back of a hair salon, I grew out of it and it was time for me to move on. And I made 2 huge rental mistakes, but I'll share the first one with you. So I was looking at actually getting my own storefront, and I found this awesome location in Costa Mesa, California. It was 2 stories. It was going to have room for downstairs. I was going to do rentals for hairstylists. Upstairs, there was private treatment rooms where I was planning on working out of, and could rent out the additional rooms to other estheticians or waxers as well. Now, we went through the whole process. We decided this was the direction we wanted to go, we being myself and my husband, and then we signed the lease. We went through, this was our first commercial lease. So before we were just renting from another beauty professional, and now we were going into our own commercial lease. We signed the lease, and then we had a checklist of things to do. Get the business license, which we had to go down to the county to do that, and a bunch of other things that come along with it as well. Anyways, we go down to the county. We signed a 3-year lease, you guys. So like we were in it, like we were committed. We were going for it. It was scary. I was not sure how this was going to work out, but we decided to go for it. Anyways, we go down to the county and we gave them the address, and they were like, "You're not allowed to perform beauty services out of this location." I'm like, "What are you talking about? You don't understand. I just signed a 3-year lease. Like, we're locked in. Like, what can we do?" And like, it's not zoned for it. So I learned quickly all about zoning. So that's one of the first things that you guys need to do when you're looking for at a location. Get the address, go down to the county where it's located, go to the planning department, give the address, make sure that it is zoned for beauty services. That was mistake number 1. Now, the owners, it was actually, I believe it was a son and his dad that owned this location. They were very understanding, and they allowed us out of the lease. That could have been really bad. We technically signed the lease. We were locked in. They could have been held us to it. It's a contract. It's a legal contract. They could have held us to it. I would have been forced to pay that lease for 3 years and not have been able to use it. Could have been an absolute catastrophe. Luckily, we were able to get out of it and move on. Then the next location that I was looking at was renting from another beauty professional again, but she just was like, she was a little cuckoo. She definitely screwed us over. She ended up changing the lease on us last minute, wanting to use my room and my equipment. She got my entire client list from me, started trying to poach people from me. Like, it was a disaster. So I'm going to go through the list of things that you guys need to look for when you're looking to rent a treatment room to make sure you're setting yourself up for success, protecting yourself, and sharing any little red flags to look for so you feel like you're going in more confident and educated, because at the end of the day, they are very much motivated to be renting to you just as much as you are motivated to find a room rental. So we want to make sure that everything is clear, you understand what you're getting into, and that it's the best move and decision for you and for your business. So let's get into it. So the first thing to really look at is how much space do you truly need? So like for me with the Costa Mesa location, with all that space, it was overkill. It was not, there's stepping stones to this for sure. And that was way too much space. So how much space do you really need to perform your services? For waxing, you really don't need a lot. So I'd rather you guys start off small, build up your business, outgrow it, and then move into the next step, into the next stage, into the bigger room. So that's one thing to get really honest about. I built a 6-figure clientele out of a very small treatment room. I wish I had the measurements on me. I can't remember, but it was just a typical, pretty small room. Enough space for a dresser or some sort of countertop, kind of like what you see behind me in my little mock-up treatment room behind me here. A treatment table, room to be able to walk around the treatment table, maybe a chair and a drop table for your client, and then ideally, if you could have some room for storage space as well, that would be fantastic. Now, that's not 100% necessary because you also can create some like back storage or backstock storage at home as well. And then if you guys struggle with inventory and making sure everything's properly stocked, go back and watch my video about that. I go through everything on how to keep track of your inventory properly using Gloss Genius, which is what I utilize. So that's first. Get really honest with yourself. How much room do I truly need? I feel like we can tend to get a little overexcited, which is great. We want to be excited, right? We're excited about our business, but we don't want to jump into something too big too quickly and cause additional stress, because going out on your own, renting your own room, running your own business, trying to build a clientele is stressful enough. So let's set ourselves up for the long-term success. Hey guys, quick interruption to the show to bring you an offer you won't be able to resist. If you have not yet tried Rebel Wax, then go ahead and visit our site, lashandwaxoc.com, and use code TRYREBEL, all one word, code TRYREBEL, to claim 2 free sample size bags. So another thing to consider with your space is location. So like, is parking easy? Is there foot traffic? Are you located within another, maybe a salon suite or another salon, or somewhere where there's going to be other people referring clients to you? One of my must-haves, especially for waxing, is I have to have AC. I have to have control of the climate within my treatment room. One thing to ask though is, do you have control of the thermostat within your treatment room? Because sometimes people, especially that aren't performing waxing services, they don't understand that we need it to be cool, especially during the summer. Like, you need to be able to bring that temperature down. So, for example, if the person you're renting from, they're used to doing facials or massage or services like that, it doesn't need to be as cool. They actually want a little bit of a warmer climate. So to them, they're like, oh no, it's at a great comfortable temperature. But when you're doing back-to-back Brazilians, you need to be able to bring that temperature low. So I am a big fan, and that's one of my, like, I just need to haves is control of my AC and the climate of my treatment room. So that's one thing to look for. Now, privacy as well. This was actually one of the mistakes I made when looking at the treatment room where the lady stole money from me. There was no lock on the door. So I asked her, I was like, oh, I just know. And this was after I moved in. Like, I'll have to tell that full story another time. But after I moved in, I realized I'm like, I can't lock the door. I'm performing Brazilians. Like, my clients, we need privacy. I can't have anyone accidentally walking in. My entrance to the room was right next to the bathroom. I could just see people accidentally walking in, opening the door mid-service. So I asked her to put on a lock. She absolutely refused. She told me there's no reason why I need to have a lock. I'm like, there's absolutely a reason why I need to have a lock. So that's another thing to keep in mind as well, especially because you're going to be storing your personal items in there as well. So you need to ask those questions like, is this solely my room? Is anyone else going to have access to be coming in and out? Really, landlords need to give at least a 24-hour notice of before entry and get your permission as well. Landlords will have a key to your treatment room, but they do need to notify you if they're going to make entry. So that's another thing to ask and make sure that you're able to lock up your treatment room. I don't believe you need to have a sink for performing waxing services, but you also need to check with your state board and make sure that you're following all their laws specifically for your state or their requirements. Usually what you can do is go on just Google or even like ChatGPT and ask like, what are my state board's requirements for aesthetics license when renting a treatment room? That's what I would do. But I know for California and Oregon, we are not required to have a sink in the treatment room, but there does need to be water access within the establishment as a whole. So that's another thing to look at. And then don't forget to check and make sure, especially if you're renting from someone else that's another beauty professional, that they are holding the establishment license. So that's really important to check. Now, if you're renting like maybe an office space or you're doing your own commercial lease, then it's going to be up to you to carry and to get that establishment license through your state board. So just keep that in mind as well. But you definitely want to ask for that when touring a space that's already within a running salon or spa. All right, next thing is to understand your different rental options. So are they going to be charging you monthly? Are you going to be bi-weekly? Is it a weekly rental? Is it a daily even? There are some locations that you're able, this seems to be more for hairstylists than like private treatment rooms, but that could be something that's available as well as renting daily, weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. So you want to understand what those lease terms are. Also knowing what is the length of the lease term. Is it a month to month? Is it 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 3 years? Most commercial leases, they really want a minimum of a 3 year. So just make sure you're very clear on that. Please know that you can negotiate these things as well, especially if it's a place that's been sitting for a while. They're motivated to get someone in there. They're losing money every day that location or that space is empty. So you do have room to negotiate these terms as well. So make sure that you do so. I really recommend if this is your first rental you're going into, you don't have like an established clientele yet, then really month to month is going to be ideal. Now, maybe they won't allow that. They're asking for a year. Then maybe try to negotiate down to 6 months, but I would even be comfortable with a year lease. If you are just building, I would not do anything over a year. When I first got my location here in Bend, so I was starting from experience because I had already built my business in Orange County, but I was new to Bend. They were asking for a 3-year lease, and I just did not feel comfy on that because I just wanted to get the vibe here. I was new to town. I was rebuilding. So I actually was able to negotiate down to a year with the option to renew then at a 3-year term. But I felt like after being here a year, I would feel comfortable and confident if I wanted to continue and move on. Now I've been in that space 4 years and I just re-signed another 4-year lease. I love the space. It's great. We're building out Rebel Wax Studio now, commission based. That's a whole other story and I can bring you guys along for that journey as well. But just know your lease terms and know that there's room to negotiate. All right. Then there's also commission or profit share as well, where they take a certain amount of profit of a commission from the profits that you make. So you're still providing all your own stuff. You're still your own business, but instead of being committed to a $500 a month, it's just a commission off the top of whatever profits it is that you're bringing in. I'm not a super huge fan of that. That's not something that I would ever sign. I would just strictly want to be on a rental, like knowing, okay, I owe $700 a month. That's what I need to at least make. I would never share profits, but it is an option for some and it may make sense for you, but just again, being clear on all the terms. You guys, utilize ChatGPT too. I would totally, now I wish I had ChatGPT when I was like first learning all this stuff. Take a picture, ask them for a mock-up of like what the terms are. Don't sign anything. Take a picture, upload it to ChatGPT and ask it, act as my like consultant, my attorney, like read through this. Is there any red flags that like you see or anything that I need to like really fully understand? Utilize the tools and the resources. A lot of people are not utilizing AI in a way to help. It's just a tool to help you become more of a savvy business owner and be more educated. It doesn't have to take over your it's not taking over. It's here to enhance our productivity and just use it. Just use it. It's good. I promise you. I was kind of against it at first too. I was like, this is weird. It's a robot. It's going to take over the world. And maybe that's the case. I don't know. But for now, I'm going to be using it to help me run my business even smoother. So, and once it takes over the world, we'll cross that bridge once it comes. I'm just kidding. I think we have time. Okay. And then there's also some hybrid models available as well. Again, not a mega fan. I'd rather just be on a flat, like monthly lease or weekly, bi-weekly, whatever. But yeah, not a fan of that. All right. Next, red flags to watch out for. If there's no written lease and it's like a handshake, like just verbal agreement, run, absolutely not. Everything needs to be written down. Do not do that, okay? It can get very messy, and that shows me that that owner is very disorganized. Most likely there's a lot more behind the scenes that's not being done properly as well. Just run, like absolutely not. Major red flag. Okay, actually, this was something that I kind of ran into with the lady at the salon that stole my money. Trying to control your schedule, like asking for your client list. There was no reason for her to have my client list. And that was my fault because I did send it to her. I was just like naive and not understanding of all this stuff yet. She was going to provide the booking system, which is fine, but I didn't want to use that booking system. I wanted to use my own. So there was no reason for me to hand over the client list. Definitely a big red flag. And then if they're trying to control your pricing or anything like that. If you're signing a lease, you are an independent contractor, you are your own business, you are in charge of your business. And that's another question to ask is what's the availability for you to be working? Like, do you have 24/7 access to your treatment room? Can you come and go as you please? Like, that's something to ask as well. So keep that in mind. But major red flag, if they're trying to control anything about your business, then you are being like misclassified and it gets really messy. Okay. And I see this a lot. In our industry. I know you guys have probably seen it within Facebook groups, people talking about this. It can get messy. So red flag. Poor communication or lack of boundaries is a major red flag. So if you're already having a hard time communicating with them just to maybe even schedule a tour, or they keep canceling and they're just very chaotic and disorder, you can feel it. You can, right? Like that could be a red flag, because how you do anything is how you do everything. So if this is the way in which they're handling just trying to get someone in to check out the treatment room and get it rented, then they probably are kind of chaotic most of the time, and that could really end up being a big mental load on you once you get into the treatment room as well, because you're going to be spending a lot of time around this person. Maybe you're not working directly with them, but you will be spending a lot of time with them, especially if you're renting within a salon space. So be careful on that. Yeah, if it's just chaotic from the very beginning, it's most likely not only going to stay chaotic, but amplify once you're like really in it. Lack of boundaries would be things like if they're just, maybe it's hard to know that until you're actually in it. So if you can talk to someone who has rented before, ask them for references. There's no reason why you can't ask for references as well, to talk to previous renters and ask what their experience has been. So if it's things like they're barging in the treatment room, I've heard stories of girls saying that they had to set up cameras within their treatment room when they left. That's not legal while we're performing services, but they would leave a camera because things were just going missing. It's like, that's like major red flag. So if you can somehow get a hold of a previous renter and ask for their experience, that'd be great. Or anyone that's currently working within the establishment as well. Now, if you go and ask for this and then they don't want to give it to you, that's a red flag. So I've been on both ends. I've been the landlord and renting out spaces, and I've been the renter, and then now I have my commission employee. I would have had no problem if someone came in to rent a space for me and asked for references of previous renters. I would have freely given that. So if they don't want to give that, that's a red flag in itself. And then if there's no clear outline of like what's included, so you want to be asking what's included. Are utilities included? Wi-Fi, trash, water, like power, all of that. You need to know what you are responsible for and be very clear on that, because sometimes it goes beyond just your monthly rent. You may be responsible. Maybe there's a utility split if you're within a salon and there's multiple people in there. So you need to be really clear and understanding of what that is, so you actually have a clear look at, if you're thinking it's $500 a month with all utilities and Wi-Fi and everything, maybe it's $600 or $650 a month it ends up being. So you need to be clear so you can plan accordingly. That wouldn't be something that would cause me not to rent. I just need to be clear up front so I can make sure that it fits within my budget, with those things being factored in as well. So if they're not clearly outlined, then that's kind of a red flag. That is a red flag as well. Everything needs to be just very clear and outlined so you know exactly what you're getting into. So here's like a checklist. So grab a pen and paper. If you guys are driving listening to this, just save this episode, come back to it later. Here's a checklist of what you want to be asking. Is this establishment licensed with the board? So this is pertaining to renting within a salon or spa. Ask to see the establishment license because you want to make sure that it's actually up to date. That's actually something that should be hung within view of the public. So it would be in the reception area. What's included in the rent? Is it Wi-Fi? Now this would be more if you're doing facials, like towel services, things like that, products. Usually if you're just renting, you're responsible for all your own stuff, but you want to make sure you know what's included. The water, trash, all those things. Are they leaving any equipment within the treatment room? Sometimes they'll have, a towel caddy for you to use, or a dresser already in there, or maybe a treatment table. So I know I provided some of those things for my renters. So just make sure that you are clear in asking all of those questions of what exactly everything that's included under the rent. Are there any hidden fees? So you want to ask that question. What happens if you want to leave early? So this is more of like breaking your lease. Worst case scenario, I sign a 1-year lease, but after 6 months, something happens that causes me that I need to move on. How's that look? What's it look like to break your lease? Sometimes they make you just continue to ride out and pay the rest of your lease. Sometimes they will say, well, if you find a replacement for your treatment room, then you can break the lease once they move in. Like someone can take over your lease. That's actually something I've had to do before. So be really clear on that and always get the questions to worst case scenario as well so that you're fully prepared for that. And then ask who's responsible for any repairs, deep cleaning. I've had issues before with plumbing, which was a big issue. And then my AC, this was under a commercial lease. So it was my own storefront. So making sure that you're clear on who's responsible if anything it breaks, you need to be clear on that because I was hit with a $4,000 bill and that was a big hit at that time for us. And I wasn't super clear because I didn't ask the right questions when I was renting on who's responsible if there was any damages. And then you can ask about cleaning as well. Do they have a cleaning service? Usually they wouldn't with the rental. I actually provided that for my girls. I just asked okay, my cleaner comes in every other Monday, make sure all your stuff is up off the ground and she'll do some light cleaning, dusting, and mopping of the floors. And then everything else was up to them. But you do want to ask that question as well. That's not something if they didn't provide, it wouldn't deter me from renting the space. And then are you allowed to decorate or paint your room, decorate, hang things on the wall, and create this space to really be your own? You want to ask those questions and be clear on that as well before signing anything. A few tips for setting yourself up for success. Now that you found your space, you're ready to move in, how can we create some buzz and get people coming in? Definitely announce the space as soon as you sign that lease. Bring people in and along for the journey on social media. If you have a newsletter that you can send out, if you already have a kind of a client list going on. If you don't have a booking software yet, first of all, you need to get that. That's going to be part of your checklist. But Gloss Genius, I am 10 out of 10, you guys. And I'm not just saying this. I'll be honest. They did approach me at a trade show. They wanted a partner. I was I'll look into it. And once I started digging in and then using it at my studio, I'm it is solid. I'm really mega fan. I would promote them to the ends of the earth, regardless if we had a partnership or not. They're awesome. They make running your business just so much easier. Few things you need. Do you have your client booking software? Do you have your liability insurance? You guys need to have liability insurance. I've been with ASCP for the past 13 years. I'm so happy to say that I was, I almost said crowned. That's ridiculous. Nominated? I was nominated as SD of the Year 2025 with them, which was a huge honor because I've been using them for so long and I really admire them. They have education resources, but they have liability insurance and personal business property insurance. I'm not saying the correct terms, but they will also protect all your things and your belongings as well. And it's a very affordable price. Highly recommend them. So you need that. Now, one thing that your landlord may ask of you, and I had a coaching client that was shocked by this and really worried, but it's completely normal, is they may ask you to list them as additional insured on your insurance. So it's literally just putting their name on your insurance, doesn't cost anymore. It's putting on your certificate of insurance that you're covered while working in their establishment pretty much. So totally normal. Even when we go to trade shows, a lot of times they require us to provide our insurance and then add them as an additional insured as well. So you can add and remove people off of that. And that's a good little side thing to keep in mind, that you may be asked of that, and it's completely normal. And then do you have your waivers and everything in place before moving in as well? ASCP provides the waivers. So I recommend them fully. Them and Gloss Genius, you're going to be set. So make sure you have all that. Are you announcing your new space and business and building the buzz? Like maybe having a little, pre-launch date, like letting them know when you're going to be moving in, that you're doing kind of like a soft opening. Always recommend a soft opening when moving into a new space, because there's always going to be something you run into that you did not prepare ahead of time for. Maybe it's the flow of your room. You're like, okay, actually the treatment table would do better over here. Or maybe I want to put my checkout station here rather than there. I'm a big fan of just jumping in and getting started and then making adjustments as needed, because you're never going to be able to fully prepare. We want to prepare, but there's nothing like actually getting in and doing it. So one thing to keep in mind for maybe the first week is not booking yourself. If you're used to doing 15-minute Brazilians, maybe give yourself 30 minutes between people just for that first week and really start to get the flow of your new space, and then label it a soft opening. Maybe have some specials and things, build up the hype, and then have your grand opening. So highly recommend doing that when moving into a new space, whether it's your first space ever or you're moving locations. There's always something you're going to run into that you couldn't possibly foresee ahead of time. You'll definitely want to take some branding photos of your space. So get everything set up, plan a branding session. So I wouldn't start taking clients necessarily day one. So say let's just make it easy. You're moving in on the 1st. Maybe you start taking clients on the 3rd. Move all your stuff in, get set up, do a branding shoot, and then start taking some clients. Just so you have all those assets to be able to now promote on your website. You need a Google business page, on your social media, to have pictures for your newsletters. Really highly recommend doing that. All right, announcing your location on social, updating your Google business page, or creating one at all so that your address is listed on there. Okay, so whether you're updating your address or you're starting a whole new Google business page, this is especially if you're starting a new Google business page, start collecting reviews. So if there's any friends and family that have ever been serviced by you, maybe anyone you're still in contact with from school that you gave a service to, start collecting reviews on your Google business page. That's going to be really, really huge for helping to make you visible on Google and to bring in new clients for you. So I hope that was helpful. These are all the things that I wish I would have known when going into my first rentals. And now these are questions I ask and things I look for when looking for rentals in the present time. So if this was helpful, I would love if, first of all, if you could subscribe. There's 95% of you that tune in every week are not subscribed, and it really, really helps us out, you guys, if you can press that subscribe button. It takes 2 seconds, and it really does help just keep production going. So if you can do that, turn on notifications so you never miss an episode, and then we would love if you could share this with an SD bestie so that they can have this information and feel confident when they are ready to rent their next treatment room as well. All right, guys, I will see you back next Monday.